Okay. Done. Redirecting to YouTube. I probably am live. Am I live? Okay. I'm going to have to do the thing because it's going to make a loud noise. It's going to say... Okay. Slowly turn it up. And now it's me. I'm here. I'm going to share to Facebook. Okay, hi, I'm Raven. Welcome back to Quarren Reads. We are going to be talking about An Absolutely Remarkable Thing again. I'm going to share this to Facebook. Book discussion number 3. That's not how you spell discussion. Yeah, okay. Post to, no. Okay, wait a minute. That's not where I want it. How do you change this? Oh my gosh. Oh, wait. Share to, in a group, QUA. There we go. Primo. We've done it. We've done it, people. We've done it, folks. I figured it out. All right. So it's the third book discussion. A little bit of housekeeping stuff. So we will be choosing the next book. I want to hopefully have it chosen by next book discussion. So by next Sunday. So we will be taking your suggestions for the next book, and then we will post a poll on Facebook, and you can just, holler at us and let us know, what do you want? I was thinking maybe we could do sequels. So all of the sequel books to the books that we've read that have sequels maybe could be up for grabs this time. So that would be like, what is the Parable of Talents? Parables of the Sower sequel, I think, is Parable of Talents. It would be like Jacoby, the second book in the Jacoby series. It would be like the Sleeping Giants second book, which I think is, I don't know, Waking Gods, maybe, I think is what it's called. And the second book in this series, which is a Beautifully Foolish Endeavor. What else had a sequel? We've read quite a few that have sequels or that have a second book. Some of them are series, so they have like a lot of books. Like I think Jacoby is a series like that. So if you want to read sequels, we'll have those up for grabs this time. I think it'll be kind of fun to see what's up in the second book. Oh yeah, we also read Children of Blood and Bone, which has a sequel. Yeah. So what do you guys think? Sequel books? I don't know. I want to do sequels. I think it'll be fun. Yeah, so as of right now, we're still reading An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. Hopefully people will want to come and chat with me today. I will post the link to the Zoom so that we can all like have our little chat and our little discussion, because it's a lot of fun to do that. And yeah, I hope somebody will come and join me. So again, like, I don't know how far everybody's read. It's either like a really quick read or a really long read, depending on how fast you read. I haven't been reading it that fast this go around, just because of everything that's been going on with like the presidential election and all that stuff. And of course, we do have a president-elect, even though the other guy doesn't want to admit it. So that's pretty fun. That's been a stressful a stressful set of circumstances. But anyway, An Absolutely Remarkable Thing is a really interesting book, and I'm very interested in the psalm, and I want to talk about it with some of you guys. But so I think we talked a little bit about it last time. I'm not sure. Did I talk about that last time? I'm not sure. And essentially, they have discovered like little anomalies, shall we say, that kind of tip them off that this Carl's incident, these like the Carl's appearing, has more to do than just being Carl's. So like English at first, it seems like everyone thought that the Carls were like some kind of marketing stunt, like with a like a like a viral marketing thing for like a video game or like a movie or something. And then it became pretty apparent that the Carls were not that. And like people are like wondering whether or not they're alien or what they could be. And so, yes, our protagonists have discovered the Freddie Mercury sequence and the Don't Stop Me Now thing and the anomaly that's happening on the Wikipedia page. And so that kind of leads to them trying to figure out all of these different puzzles, right? And ergo, therefore, our protagonists start to discover that Carl is asking for specific elements. They're not quite sure what Carl wants these elements for, but they are discovering that Carl wants these specific elements. And yeah, oh God, how do I talk about this? Like it's very mystery, but it's like yeah, let's pull back a second. Okay. So the way that the book is written is in style in which it's like investigation. So when like okay, not that like most stories don't have like some element of you finding things out at the same time as the characters, but this story is very much like these characters are trying to investigate to figure out what this thing is that has appeared, this Carl, and how and why it has appeared in all these major cities at the same time. What does it mean? Why is it here? What does this mean for humanity? All of those types of questions. And as the story progresses, the characters start to figure out all of these little things that are like leading to answers about Carl and about what Carl is and why Carl's here. And so again, they first discovered that sequence, the Freddie Mercury sequence, and that led them to trying to form like this small group of people on the internet to solve these puzzles together. And so eventually, April starts having this dream, and in this dream, April can talk to Carl, right? The dream starts sort of becoming like contagious, and like other people start having the dream. The way it seems is like that if someone has the dream, they can sort of like infect other people with the dream. And also I think people can get the dream themselves. I don't know. Anyway, so they get this dream and they discover like in this dream that um they can one talk to Carl or hear Carl, and then also like that it's this like world where no one else is, where they can like figure these things out. And there's like all these like puzzles inside of this dream. And so that's why the psalm kind of gets created, because everyone wants to solve these puzzles and they need a place to talk about them. So it ends up like the psalm is like essentially like think of like a message board and think of like a social media site. So it's like they created this social media like message board type thing. So I would like think of it like maybe like a subreddit where people are sharing these concepts and ideas and you know kind of trying to figure them out together. I'm gonna open this up because I was late. So I'm gonna like go ahead and invite my lovelies to join. Okay, wait, how do you do this? Okay, copy invitation. Okay. But yeah, so the psalm kind of functions as a place where like everyone tries to help each other solve these puzzles. And the dream, what's interesting about the dream to me is it seems a lot like a virtual reality world. I don't know if anyone has ever read Ready Player One. What the heck? What did I just do? Oh no. Oh, okay. Okay. So in Ready Player One, there's like this like VR world where everyone you have to buy like the whole rig and you know all these like sensory things, and you kind of like can go into the VR world, and it functions as like a second world. So people get kind of like caught up in it and lost in it, and it ends up not being very very great. Um, okay, sorry everyone, I'm trying to post this thing. Um, yes, it ends up not being a very healthy way to spend your existence, is what I'm trying to say. And so the dream, it sort of has a similar vibe to me. If you've seen the movie Ready Player One, like you can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about, but it's a little bit like, I don't know. I always feel like books are better. The books are better than the movies. The Ready Player One movie, by the way, I just posted the invitation. So if you want to go, it's on the Facebook page if you want to come and chat. But yeah, I always feel like the books are better than the movies because one, I just think it's like easier for books to tell a whole story, whereas like movies have to fit like essentially was like 7 or 8 hours of content into 2 hours because yeah, books always I mean books can like run a lot, like if you like read them front to back, they like can run 7, 8, 9, 10 hours. And so obviously a screenwriter is like doing gymnastics to try to fit all of that into a movie. So it's not necessarily their fault, but the Ready Player One movie is not as good as the book. That's all I'm saying. Okay, let Melanie in. Hi.
Yay, is it working?
Yes, I can hear you.
Woo. Cool.
How's it going?
Doing okay, doing better.
Oh, wait, what? Oh, can't hear you. The audio got messed up.
What? Hmm.
Okay, and now I can hear you again.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I put it to full screen. It kind of glitched for a second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, doing okay. Doing okay. It's really cold and rainy and dark, so I'm just
Yeah.
in my room. It's good.
Yep. It's been cold and rainy here too, which is interesting. Well, it got kind of warm last week, but it's been rainy.
Oh, it's that time.
Yeah. Fall and winter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how have you been?
I've been okay mostly. So just working. I got a lot of reading done, which was good. Uh, my anxiety's been kind of like bad this week, but I mean, whose isn't?
Exactly. Yeah, it's been kind of
So
a, a crazy couple of weeks here.
Yeah. So so it's been not great, but otherwise, doing okay.
That's
So,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, how about you?
Pretty much similar. Like the first week when the election was happening, like I don't think I slept very much.
Mm.
And then this week I felt so exhausted because I think that like that previous week was so like taxing emotionally. So I
Mhm.
just felt like I am exhausted. But
Yeah.
I'm just trying to like decompress. It's like it's happened. The person can freak out on Twitter all they want, but the results are what they are, and we're just gonna leave it at that.
Yes. Yes. No, I feel that. Coming off that like nervous high from the week before, it's just like, ooh, crash.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. So,
Anyway,
yeah,
let's talk about the
good
book.
times. Yeah.
'Cause-
Well, I got really far this week actually. I'm on chapter 17.
oh, good.
Yeah. So that was one exciting thing.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, a lot has happened. How far are you? I don't want to like spoil stuff. So,
Oh, you
how
can't
far in
spoil
the
it
book?
for me. I've read it,
Well, you've
but
read it. Yeah. Yeah.
um, I am concerned about like other people. I don't know because like I know people like
Yeah.
watch and pay attention and probably read along, but they don't like come in and chat. So I am cautious up to about halfway of the book. I mean, really,
Okay.
really, like we're probably only going to talk about it one more week. Um, but I'm still just giving people their, I don't know, room to read if they haven't.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Little thing.
Yeah,
But
because otherwise there's like big spoilers that
yeah,
happen in
there's a
chapter
lot.
seven.
There's
That's why
a
I'm like,
lot. That's why like
okay.
I've been kind of cautious. Like I just, I'm trying to like gauge it by I don't know what I feel is like important stuff that's also not like super gonna spoil things. So,
Makes sense. Makes sense.
what are your thoughts so far?
Mm. Um, I'm interested to see how, how it ends. It's really like it's getting weirder and weirder.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not convinced that the Carls are like totally good
Yeah, it
anymore.
starts it starts kind of like um it's almost like the Carls are just a statue as it starts. And we get this like insight into like, these characters being thrust into the spotlight and them dealing with fame and like having to go on TV shows and stuff. And then it kind of moves into like, wait a minute, the Carls are like weirder than we thought they were, and like all these like weird things start happening. And now it's like you've got the Carls, you've got the internet fame, and then you've got like this weird stuff going on. And then you get this opposition group who aren't we like used to groups like that that right
Yeah, yeah.
and yeah, they feel very frustrating and also maybe dangerous. And yeah, so we've got all these like things in play.
Yeah. Dangerous, surprisingly coordinated.
Yeah.
Uh April is also like kind of shady.
April definitely has problems.
Yeah.
um
Still not the biggest fan of her.
yeah, when
On
you
one
read,
hand, it's like I understand like you're going through it,
yeah,
right now, so you're not going to make the best decisions, but I'm also like uh okay, maybe not
yeah,
about quite a few things.
she comes off as pretentious, and then she also like makes decisions that are not good for the people in her life, or like she hurts them in ways. And I feel like bad about that. It's like hard,
Yeah.
you want to be on her side because it's just a natural like desire when you have a protagonist. You just like naturally want to be on their side. but like just the way that she talks to her friends and treats her friends, and the way that she talks about herself, like even like the part where she's like they're starting to do television, because this Carl thing is like strange and everybody wants to interview the person who found them first. And she's just like, oh, I don't care about any of this. And it's like, okay, there's like not caring. And then there's just like being like a jerk about it, you know? Like there's a difference between like, I don't really care about going on TV and I don't really care about fame and being like a jerk, you know, and being like, oh, this is stupid, you know?
Yeah.
And like she kind of crosses that line.
Yeah, there's definitely I wouldn't describe her as the most professional person
Yeah.
on a lot of levels necessarily. And it's for sure like she kind of everyone really likes her and is like all the people in her life are like very loyal and very like, you know, good to her. Everyone's kind of attracted. All of the main friend group are kind of attracted to her too. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, she's honestly doesn't treat most of you guys super well,
Yeah.
at least in the scenes that they're giving us. I mean, obviously a lot of time passes between, there's like a lot of time they kind of skip over. So I'm sure in those parts she's okay, but
Yeah.
like, man.
Yeah.
So
She's like not a great friend. And it hurts more because her friends are good friends, you know.
yes, no one really calls her out on it except for her ex,
Yeah, Maya.
except for Maya. And no one listens to Maya. You know, she says things, she does things, no one listens to her. Uh,
Yeah.
so, and honestly, she's surprisingly nice to her. Like, she does not have to answer her calls or help her at all. I was like, man, if that had been me, I would not be helping her or
Right.
like
Yeah.
talking to her or texting her when you're worried. I would not be having any contact with her. So that's like honestly still pretty nice because of the way she got broken up with. So
Yeah. And like there is also like the element of power corrupting. So like when April starts to become like the authority on the Carls, it's like almost like you're like she's been given this like level of power, and she just feels like that, like it's an accurate thing. Like a lot of times, like I don't really know how to like describe this otherwise, but like you see like someone who kind of got famous suddenly, and then like at first you think they're kind of cool, and then like they kind of end up being like a jerk. Like I'm thinking of like Kanye West, you know,
yeah.
like that type of thing. And I know I'm not saying she's quite Kanye, because Kanye is a little bit like, but like, and also Kanye was kind of a jerk when he first got famous, but I don't know, it just kind of got
Yeah.
hard. But but like that
I
thing of
think the
like,
one just kind of went like unhinged.
yeah, it's like that
Yeah.
thing of like where you're like a normal, like a someone's like a normal person, and you're kind of cool and down to earth and whatever, and then everyone starts telling them they're cool, and then they like believe it a little too much, and then they kind of like become like not a great person. So I think there's a
Yeah.
little bit of that to April. And one of the things we don't really get to see is like who she was when they all started being her friend, except for Miranda, because Miranda kind of comes in the midst of all of this. But you know, when Andy and Maya first met April, or like were her friends before all of this happened, maybe she was different and we don't know. But you know, we do only get to see her while this all this fame stuff is happening. But also her personality wasn't like the greatest at the beginning of the book either. Like when they first find,
Yeah.
like who calls their friend at 3 o'clock in the morning, is like, come down here right now and make a video. It's just a little bit like inconsiderate of someone else's time.
Yeah. The seeds were already there. She already
Yeah.
didn't treat Maya like super well
Yeah.
at the beginning.
So it's
So yeah. But yeah, also, you know, she is in kind of a crazy situation, so it's understandable that,
yeah.
you know, she'd make some bad decisions.
But I think what's interesting is they well, April is kind of like juxtaposed against what's his face. What is that guy's name?
Peter
But
something.
yeah, and like they are kind of like two sides of the same coin. But if I was like to like talk about what they feel like to me, it's like, you know, like you have like political pundits, and there may be one who like your ideals like align with more, but they're also kind of like a jerk and you don't necessarily like them that much. And then there's like the other person and they're like extreme. Like that's what they remind me of. I mean, I guess that's exactly
Yeah.
what they're supposed to be, but yeah. So yeah. But Peter is interesting to me. Um, you know, he's kind of the like Ben Shapiro of the book. He just kind of like takes this like stance. And like on the one hand, like you can kind of understand where they're coming from with the like distrust of this Carl situation because they don't know what the Carls are or where they came from. So like yeah, you can understand like okay, maybe these things are not good for humanity. Maybe they're alien, maybe they mean us harm, maybe they're bad. But as conspiracy theorists always do, like they take it to like the next level and they're like, well, April's an alien and she's working for them and you know, just taking it to this like extreme where it like becomes like this dangerous ideology. And it feels like weird to talk about the day after the Proud Boys had their big march in Washington DC. Like it feels very strange to talk about something like fictional in a book that seems very much like some of the things that are happening now. But
Mhm.
yeah,
But yeah, what can you?
I mean, not that you can understand anything
Where
with the
that
Proud
just
Boys
come
are
from?
coming from,
Yeah,
because they're just basically like, we're white supremacists.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's the thing about fiction, though, because these fictional guys, because someone is creating them and writing them, there is an element of you know where you understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Because when you write a character, when you write characters, even if they're like evil or bad or like they're like antagonists, you have to kind of understand where they're coming from. So, like for instance, you can like pick any movie or any book series and like the villain, you can understand where they're coming from, right? Whereas in real life, it's not always that simple. It's not always like for the good of mankind or whatever, you know. But I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe they had to get the idea from somewhere for these
Yeah,
characters. So it's like
yeah,
you're gonna see it in real life.
yeah. It's very interesting. And what's interesting, like in comparing this book to Sleeping Giants, it's interesting that well, I guess like in most of Sleeping Giants, general society was not like privy to knowledge about the giant or like the robot. But it's interesting that you don't see like that kind of like cultural like, oh, we just are not approving of this thing existing movement as much, like because I feel like if something like this were to happen in real life, like if we had some like big discovery of proof of aliens or contact from other worlds or other dimensions or anything or whatever Carl is, or like a supreme intelligence or something, I feel like there would be this like pushback. There would definitely be like that polarization. I mean, humans are just really good at making things bigger deals than they are. Like, for instance, the fact that like we have in America, we have like people that think wearing masks is some kind of like
Hmm.
attack on their freedom. And it's like, you know, literally it's just a tool to like not spread a disease. But now like it's been this big politicized thing. So I just feel like that would definitely happen, especially in this country. Um, So it's interesting that that was not a part of the storyline in Sleeping Giants, but I think it's also because the public wasn't like aware of it as
Yeah,
much.
Sleeping Giants spent a lot of time sweeping things under the rug and
Yeah.
doing like PR, damage control. Sleeping Giants, they spent a lot of time like hiding
It
everything.
does make you wonder, like, what is like that might like because the sequel seems like it's going to have a lot more to do with like the effect that this is going to have on society. So I wonder if you know if he just goes into that later in the next book.
Yeah, there's a little bit more about that. And none of the people who discover the robot in Sleeping Giants become like celebrities, really.
Yeah, no.
So,
And I think it's just that whole because with this book you have the fact that these two young people found this robot and like posted it online first before like this government thing could go down or anything could go down with the government. And then I think in Sleeping Giants, the government kind of like swoops in and like takes it over before it can even become like a big story. Cause like I think like when you think about like Rose falling into the hand at the beginning of the book when she's like a child, it's almost like covered up immediately that this even happened.
yeah.
And they're like having this like secret like team working on it. So yeah, that's like one of the main differences between the two.
Yeah. They did sort of the opposite where they immediately went to the government
Yeah.
instead of just going rogue.
Yeah.
Mostly because she's a kid. It's a
Yeah.
kid who finds it.
And then also I think it kind of speaks to like the difference in the time period because um when Rose falls into the hand, I think it's like the 90s. And so comparison to like today, everybody has a camera in their pocket, And so the events of An Absolute Remarkable Thing take place kind of like present day. So of course, like if you stumble upon across Carl first, then you can just be like, oh, you know, and now everybody can see it instantly across social media. And so I think like that's like also one of the main differences that, you have these characters who have access to video technology and can share it instantly versus like someone in the 90s who you could get your video camera and film it, but it would be on a VHS tape. And if you wanted to share it around, you'd have to like get a TV station or something to approve it. And
Yeah.
it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. That kind of reminds me of Super 8, but I'm not going to get into that.
Oh, I don't know that.
Yeah, I love science fiction. It's so fun. I like the idea of possibility. I like taking something that seems like something that we could like at some point achieve or like some point do, and then like stretching the possibility of that to its like limits. That's really cool to me.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I've had fun reading some more science
Yeah.
fiction than I normally do. So
One of
with
my
it.
favorite things about science fiction that I think is ignored a lot is that it was a female pioneered genre. Some of
Yeah.
the earliest science fiction writers were women, and then like most things that were female pioneered, they just got taken over by men in the 20th century, and
Yeah.
then women kind of got pushed out of it, which is why I think a lot of girls don't like science fiction because we don't see ourselves in it because a lot of science fiction um which around like the time when it got really popular was like the 1950s, women either were not in the story or were damsels in distress in the story. Like some man has to save this girl who's screaming because the alien is going to, abduct her or whatever. And so I think that type of thing kind of pushed girls out of science fiction. And I think that's really unfortunate. And I think it's really cool that you're starting to see writers kind of flip that again, and girls are starting to be in the forefront of science fiction. Not that like some of the like listen, because we do have like Mary Shelley, and she wrote Frankenstein, which is about a man, and about his creation, which is a man. And it does have a damsel in distress, and that's unfortunate. But obviously people write what they know, and the times, at the time, protagonists in novels were often men, and I'm sure she was just writing what she knew.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm just happy that we're starting to get more, people in science fiction that aren't typically, represented.
Yeah, yeah.
The same can be said for like any of these like genre types of stories, whether it's film, television, comics, novels. I feel like for a long time, like women, people of color, were just not in genre fiction unless it was like specific. Like if it was like a girl flick, like a chick flick, she can be in this, she can be in The House Bunny. Not no shade to The House Bunny. I think it was a funny movie. I'm just saying like girls in media have always been like relegated to this type of stuff where it's like, oh, let's put her in the thing where she gets to be pretty and wear pink, and then she gets to like flirt with cute guys, and then she gets to fall in love at the end, and that's the happy ending. Which there's nothing wrong with falling in love, there's nothing wrong with being with a cute guy, and there's nothing wrong with wearing pink. But when this is like the only type of character that you're showing, and like the only type of women protagonists that you're showing, because all the other movies the protagonists are men, it's a very limiting thing. And I think it has like made girls feel like that there's not places for them in different type, like action, science fiction, um fantasy, all these things.
Yeah, or if they are in those genres, then they have to be like weird, sexy warriors, or I don't know. They
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, like they're fighting in a metal bikini or something, which makes no sense.
yeah, and it's just annoying.
Yeah.
Even like, I mean, have you seen live action Mulan?
Yeah.
Okay, even like that, which like, I guess there's a lot of issues. That movie had a lot of
Yeah.
problems, but uh, just like her running around fighting with her hair down, and I was like, you can
Yeah, why would you do
wear
that?
armor, you
Yeah.
can fight wearing armor and not have like a Pantene commercial hair flying
Yeah.
around. Like
Yeah, and like,
that's
I
possible.
understand, like it looks cinematic, but it just makes no sense because like now your hair is exposed, and that's a point of vulnerability. Someone can pull your hair, or it can just get
Yeah, that's
snagged.
not how fighting
Yeah,
works, regardless of your gender.
I mean,
I
like
mean,
even in
also the whole thing that everyone would have had long hair back then anyways, but like
yeah,
that's that's a
yeah,
whole but yeah.
but
Uh
even like men did have long hair back then, especially in like China, because I think it was some kind of thing about like your honor or some spirit, something like you
yeah,
had
it's
to
like a
have hair long.
Confucian thing. Yeah, they didn't cut their
And
hair.
so, but like when they went to battle, they tied it up. It was not just like hanging down while they were fighting, you
Yeah.
know. And they
That
tied
happens in
it
a
up
lot
with
of other
it.
like shows and stuff too. It's like, yes, there's women, yes, they're doing things, but they're still very like,
Yeah,
I don't know, it's still like a bunch of men.
male gazy.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's nice that there's a little less of that
yeah.
in a lot of things.
Um, yeah. And this book has some points of criticism, in my opinion. Like I feel like there's some things Hank Green could have done better, especially in terms of the representation. Um, but I think he does a pretty good job of having female protagonists, and also like most of the team is female, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think like the only guy is Andy.
Well, you've got the assistant.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Got
yeah.
the assistant. I'm not convinced that he's not trying to kill her. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's it's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm not convinced
Um,
that he's not up to something anyways. So, but
yeah,
we'll see.
it gets really intense. I'm just gonna say that. Um, yeah, because April, I can't say anything because it's a spoiler, but it gets really intense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at the July 13th. and that whole like just after that
Mm.
shenanigan. So
Next
yeah.
week we'll talk all about it. Just lay it
Yeah.
out there. I'm so
Yeah.
excited though. It's a good book. It's an interesting book. And yeah, I also didn't read a lot of science fiction. I liked science fiction in the general sense, like, you know, if there's like a science fiction movie or something, I was like, cool, I'll watch this. But like I didn't read a lot of science fiction for a long time and still until I started like finding out that there were like a lot of women science fiction writers and stuff.
Hmm.
And especially um Octavia Butler kind of like brought me back around to it because Parable is not really science fiction. It's more like dystopian fiction or something. But a lot of her stuff is science fiction, and I was like, cool. There's like, you know, different types of science fiction out there, and yeah, I just like it as a genre. I think it's really cool, and I'm glad that it's becoming more diverse. This was a really good science fiction book. This was one of the first science fiction books that I bought to read. I read Ready Player One because the movie was going to come out, and I was like, I'm going to read this. Um, it's not great. Like I'm not like recommending it. Like, if you're not like already into, I guess like science fiction a lot, like Ready Player One's not that great of a book. And also Ready Player One is very tropey. Like if you know like all of those like tropes, like I don't know, it's just a very tropey book. It's got like the whole like chosen one, which is fine. Chosen one happens a lot in heroes' journeys, which is fine. But it has like the like girl who's like kind of cool and kind of like you would think she could be like the hero, but she's not. She's there to support the hero because even though she's more competent than him, it's his book, so he's got to have the lead. And she's got to
Yeah.
support him, and they of course have to be romantic interests, and it has like all of that type of stuff. It's very tropey. Um,
Mm.
but it's a decent book. I just was talking about it because the dream kind of reminds me of the virtual reality world that they go into.
Oh, okay.
But the dream is I think more interesting. The virtual reality world in Ready Player One, it's essentially like the internet, but if you could go inside of it. So like
Mm.
think about like Wreck-It Ralph, you know, like they can
Yeah.
just go into the internet. It's basically that.
Okay.
Um, this is more like if there was like an interactive game in your head, which I think is really cool. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, the dream is interesting. I'm very interested in the dream, and I guess I'll talk more about why the dream is interesting next time because I really am cautious about people being spoiled. But you've already experienced a dream, though, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
yeah. The dream is cool. I like the way that Hank is able to talk about um things that are like commonplace in our like normal society. So like even just like stuff like the Somme, which reminds me very much of like being younger and being in fandoms and like going to the forums to discuss theories and
Hmm.
like all that stuff. And like it just feels very much like a book about the moment that we live in today. Even though this like science fictiony stuff is happening, that obviously we don't experience, but yeah, it's very much a slice of our society and how we live today.
Yeah. Yeah. It was cool.
Yeah. But I think we should close because it's past 7. But yeah, so for the next time I think we're choosing the next book. So I saw that you said that sequel sounds like a good idea. So
Mhm.
I guess we'll try that. Um should we just like do like put every sequel on there and just like vote like that, or should we choose which sequels that we like or that we're interested in?
Mm. I don't know. I mean, there's not a ton of sequels. Or not a ton. There's like enough. If
There's
we do
enough to
all of
have
them,
a
it's not going
vote.
to be like an overwhelming amount, right?
Yeah, because it's only like I think Parable has a sequel, Children of Blood and Bone, Jacoby, this one and the last one. I think those are the only sequels. So that is 5 sequels.
Yeah, that's a good voting amount, I feel
Yeah.
like. But
Okay, well, let's just do that. That saves us some drama.
Mhm.
I'll post it by like Wednesday and we'll vote. But yeah, I think that's it. Um,
Cool.
good seeing you. And also, I'm excited about the monologue thing. That's gonna be
Yeah, I
fun.
know. I got my monologue right before we started this. So I
I
was
know
like,
I didn't open it. I was like, oh, cool. But I was like, let me go ahead and log on.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, and we can't, you have to record it and everything,
Yeah,
before you read it too.
right, right.
So
And we'll all
yeah.
be doing that this week.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Me too.
I know. All right. Well, I'll talk to you next. Well, I don't know when, but probably next time. Um, we'll see you later.
Okie dokie. Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. So that's it for today. We'll be back next week. Again, we're going to vote on the next book. It will be posted on Facebook and it's a poll. You can vote. See you next week. Same bat time, same bat